Florida State football. Join us Sunday for the Bobby Bowden Show. I'm Gene Deckerhoff, along with FSU head football coach Bobby Bowden.
This week, we're headed for the Orange Bowl in our annual bragging rights battle with the Hurricanes.
Burt Reynolds and Vic Frenzy will take you back to 1988 and the now famous Punt Rooski.
See the Bobby Bowden Show, Sunday at noon on WCTV.
State. To no one's surprise, the practices are closed, just as they were last year when it was 1 versus 2. This time, it's 2 against 3, but both Florida State and Miami realize the winner of Saturday's game is sure to be #1 in college football next week. Sorry, Washington. So needless to say, it's take no chances week. Keep out. Scott Atwell takes a look at why a win Saturday in Miami would be a huge reversal of fortunes for FSU.
They don't have a nickname for it, no Death Valley or House of Doom. But no matter how generic, Miami's Orange Bowl has been a scary place to play. Down there 2 years ago, Bobby Bowden said he saw fear in the eyes of some of his players.
I thought at first of the game we were a little, you hate to say, intimidated.
But following that 31-22 loss, Kirk Carruthers did say it.
First half, I feel we were a tad bit intimidated. Young team, really hadn't been faced with this kind of a game before.
I could sense the intimidation in the offense, but the defense, it seems like the defense is never intimidated.
We were fickle early in the ball game.
It's a description that hardly fits a team that's been known as King of the Road, victorious in cities with names like Clemson, Baton Rouge, Columbus, South Bend, and Lincoln. And a description that does not fit the 92 Seminoles. So says Charlie Ward, who will lead his club into the OB this Saturday.
I've been in many arenas, North Carolina, Dean Dome, Duke. So, I mean, I'm not the type of person that's going to back down from the Orange Bowl.
Tyler won't get intimidated. Oh, no, he won't get intimidated. In fact, I don't have any players that will get intimidated. They want to intimidate. I don't care how tough they are. They want to intimidate us.
The sense here is that FSU players have tired of the Miami mystique. Perhaps they are mere mortals after all.
The way our players been playing, and they are tough guys, and I mean, I don't think that they're intimidated by anything, you know, especially something living.
Something living?
Yeah, probably, you know, I'd be more scared of something dead, I'm sure.
Me too. Meanwhile, at Florida,
a veteran defensive line, we're just going to have to capitalize on that disadvantage that Miami has shown us and get to the quarterback.
Well, you just hope that they struggle against us, because we have a good defensive line, and you know, they got great skill and we got great skill, but you can have all the skill in the world if that line can't protect your quarterback or create some holes, and the skill can't operate. So.
Of course, that first gentleman was Ken Alexander, the fine Florida State linebacker. Now, a fierce pass rush could open it up for the Florida State corners to have a big day. And if anyone deserves a day in the national spotlight, it's Rickards graduate Cory Fuller. This past summer, Cory saw his younger brother get claimed by the mean streets of Tallahassee, gunned down in a shooting incident. Since then, football and religion have been his salvation. Our own Dave Neal profiles his inspirational story on tonight's Seminole Spotlight.
Seminole Spotlight is brought to you by Super Signs of
times his age. He's the father of a 6-month-old son. He was wrongly accused of taking money for working with young children. And just a few months ago, he lost his little brother, who was sadly gunned down in the streets of Tallahassee. But through it all, Cory Fuller has persevered and shown what a little faith can actually do.
The thing that keeps me going every day is that I have a mother at home that loves me, and I have a son that I know that loves me and everything. And I have God on my side. You know, without that right there, I don't think I could be here, neither myself, you know, because it's very hard for me to wake up every morning and go to sleep at night knowing that my little brother is gone. That's like #1.
Yeah, I don't think a coach gets more satisfaction or can get more satisfaction in coaching than to see a young man like Cory Fuller. And then coming and committing his life to being good and being a godly young man. He's very got his priorities in order right now.
Cory came to Florida State out of Rickards High School as one of the best athletes in the country. He runs a 4.4 40 and is built like a chiseled sculpture. Now as a junior, he's yet to win his starting job, but still sees plenty of playing time at cornerback. And it's his time on the football field where Cory can't forget about his past and do what comes natural. And that's being a great athlete.
And like when I hit the practice field or the game field, I just feel like it's me and my brother and God out there. Me, my brother, all the time. You know, I say, Fred, don't let me make this mistake. You be right here. If I make a mistake, you cover up for me. You get me. But I feel like I do have something to prove to the people, though, because when you come out of high school, coming to Florida State, most everybody here is big time, you know, and they expect big time things out of you, and I want to get them to what they expect out of me.
And he's willing to take the steps that it takes to be successful, and it just makes you so proud and so happy to have a youngster like Cory in here. And the thing about it, he's such a positive influence for our other kids, too.
Cory has yet to land his first collegiate interception. But when the sometimes painful facts of life throw it his way, this smiling face has always come up with the big play.
Good story there, Dave. By the way,
losses have arrived courtesy of their hated interstate rivals, the Hurricanes. The two renew old acquaintances this Saturday in Miami in a game that headlines college football's top matchups of the week. Miami's last-second escape against Arizona brought back memories of last year's last-second escape against the then-top-ranked Seminoles. Miami's flat performance last week cost them the top spot in this week's rankings, and a similar effort on Saturday would spell disaster. But no one expects Miami to come out flat, least of all, Miami.
I don't have to say a word to them about this week. I mean, they're focused, regardless of what happened last week. Whether it was 8-7 or 52-7, this game still it means the same.
We didn't play that well last week, but you know we still won the game, and you know we're still undefeated, and we still have the same amount of talent we had last week.
The Hurricanes will have to replace defensive standout Rusty Medeiros, who's out for at least this year and perhaps next year after severely damaging his left knee in the win over Arizona. You can expect Bobby Bowden's Seminoles to take advantage of Medeiros' replacement, as Florida State is averaging 182 yards per game on the ground. This despite having 3 freshman starters on that offensive line. The quarterback matchup features Miami's pure pocket passer Gino Torretta against Florida State's scrambling Charlie Ward. In his first 2 starts, Ward was erratic, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. But since the second half of the Clemson game, Ward has settled into the Seminoles offense, and his mobility and poise could be key to Florida State's first series win since 1986. Champion. Title ramifications will enter the equation in this year's meeting. We check in with Steve Cyphers for more on the high noon showdown in Miami.
It's raining in Miami, but the National Weather Service says this front should blow out of here by game time Saturday, and a chance of showers will lag behind. Now, these two teams may be number 2 and 3 right now, but Miami and Florida State are college football's 2 winningest teams over the last 6 years. Having been around both clubs this week, it seems Miami is pressing a bit. Not only are they dealing with the loss of Rusty Medeiros, the heart of their defense, Kevin Patrick replaces him, but they're trying to resolve the running problems with a young offensive line. In beating Arizona 8-7, Miami rushed for a total of 2 yards. But this week, Coach Dennis Erickson says he'll simplify things up front, and he'll welcome the return of senior tackle Mario Cristobal. One other plus for the Canes could be running back Stephen McGuire. Defensive players say he's running better in practice this week than he has all season. In Tallahassee, the players are taking a what-have-we-got-to-lose approach, having lost to the Canes in 6 of their last 7 meetings. This time, though, the Seminoles might enter the game with more confidence than Miami. They've improved every outing, especially quarterback Charlie Ward, who started the season with 8 interceptions in the first 2 games. He's been picked off once in the last 2 games. For 8 Seminoles, this will be the first trip back to their homes in South Florida since the hurricane. Their group includes Marvin Jones, Florida State's sensational linebacker, whose confidence might only be exceeded by his talent.
I really don't see people when I tackle. I see through them. So, you know, it's like, you know, I don't see nothing. I think that's why they made football fields with grass, because you can go out and bury people. You know, just dig up a spot and bury them right there.
Marvin Jones is 6'2", 235 pounds, runs a 4.6 40, and is the most feared linebacker in college football.
Marvin Jones is the best linebacker I've ever seen playing college football. He's all over the place. He gets better every year. I remember when he was a freshman, he was 215 pounds and ran fast. Now he's 240 pounds and runs faster.
He can run, he'll hit, he'll dive, he'll jump, he'll do anything he can do to get to the ball carrier.
I feel like I can make every tackle from sideline to sideline. You know, if a guy run up in the press box, you know, I think I can get him.
Wherever Marvin goes, I go the opposite.
I wish I could wear a jersey with 106 on it, because I feel I'm a combination of Lawrence Taylor and Mike Singletary.
He plays by 3 rules. 1, go full speed, always. 2, play every play as if it's your last. And 3,
just go out with the intent to punish. If you go out with the intent to punish, those first 2 will come with that.
Wally Burnham is Florida State's linebacker coach. He works from the press box on Saturdays. Burnham recently compiled a list of his favorite Jones tackles. So, leading the hit parade at number 5, it's that play against Clemson.
That was just instant anger.
At number 4, Florida a year ago.
I just ran straight over him. I mean, that was just get there.
Moving to number 3, it's Michigan, 1st and goal.
I told him not to do it.
At number 2, BYU.
I think I was one that scored 2 touchdowns on us. I just wanted to show them, you know, that, you know, I'm getting tired of it.
And the number 1 favorite on the hit parade? Well, sorry to disappoint you, but it never made the highlights because it happened at practice during Jones' freshman year. In just his 2nd day of wearing Seminole pads, during a goal line scrimmage, he leaped over the line to bury the ball carrier. Back then, he was trying to make the team, and now he's an All-American. But nothing's changed.
He wants to do goal line the whole time. That's all he talks about. Let's just go to goal line. Let's go do goal line practice. And always wants to hit.
He never turns the motor off. His motor is always going. Don't put him in there unless you want him to go full speed.
In the mind of Marvin Jones, there is no difference between a practice and a game. There is only football and the pursuit of the perfect hit.
I haven't even come close to the perfect hit. You know, because, you know, that trauma helicopter hadn't landed in the middle of the field yet.
Around Florida State, people don't expect Marvin Jones to be back for his senior season. They say he'll go to the NFL. Jones, for the record, says he's not thinking about that right now. He's thinking about the Hurricanes. From Miami, Steve Cyphers, ESPN.
Thank you, Steve. Don't forget to join us on College Game Day.
Ward hits Fryer for a 12-yarder. And McCorvey's only catch of the night nets 14. Sean Jackson scrambles across the goal line, but a holding penalty nullifies the score. The Noles would gather 6 flags on the night for a final cost of 51 yards. The Wake Forest defense forces Dan Mowry to attempt his longest field goal of the season. The 46-yarder sails left. Motivated by the play of their defensive teammates, the Wake Forest offense takes the field and quickly gains a first down. But senior Carl Simpson plugs Moultrie, and Tommy Henry knocks down his 3rd block of the year. Once again, the Deacons are forced to punt. Penalties continue to plague the Seminoles. This time, an offsides call gives Wake Forest another chance, and they're at the FSU 47. After a holding call puts them back on their side, a 40-yard pass to Todd Dixon, one of Wake Forest's all-time leading receivers, and the visitors are on the Noles' 18-yard line. But it proves to be only a matter of time before the Demon Deacons tie the game. West goes to the air and finds Roger Pettis in the end zone, and the game is tied at 7. Wake Forest sets up to kick off, and Vanover waits inside the 5.
Makes the catch. Now we'll bring it upfield. He is to the 20. He is to the 25. Vanover puts it to the left side, to the 40. Vanover to the 50. Vanover to the 40. Vanover to the 30. Vanover to the 20. Vanover to the 10. Touchdown, FSU!
When I caught the ball, I saw an opening in the line. When I stepped through it, it was like a wide open field. But I saw a man come behind me, so I cut, and he missed me, and then it was a foot race from there.
The Noles defense again is too much for the Deacons as they're forced to go 3 and out. Wake Forest was successful on only 1 of 15 third down conversion attempts on the night, meaning the Seminole D has held opponents to a microscopic 13% success rate over the past 2 weeks. Amply had all of last year. To start the second quarter, Tiger claws his way through the Wake Forest line and picks up 8 of his 75 yards on the day. Charlie gives Tiger the ball again, and the Noles find themselves on the 5-yard line. Staying with what works, Tiger spins into the end zone for his first touchdown of the year.
He comes to McMillan. McMillan goes left side, makes his cut, hurdles, touchdown, Florida State. McMillan's first as a Seminole.
When we first put this offense in, we asked some questions about it. It goes by what the defense gives us. In the first couple games, we didn't rush for hardly little or none. But that opens up the passing game. We just put the offense in this fall, and we've been experimenting with it.
Marvin Jones and company keep the pressure on Wake Forest and let the Noles offense take over again. Florida State, who converted 50% of their third downs, gained another first on a 31-yard pass to Vanover. A delay of game penalty doesn't faze the Noles, and William Floyd powers his way into the end zone for his second touchdown of the year. Wake Forest marches into Seminole territory, directed by quarterback Keith West, before cornerback Cory Fuller picks off a pass, adding to his interception collection, which now totals 4.
Downfield, puts it in the air for grabs. It is caught, intercepted, picked off. Cory Fuller has done it again.
I just saw that ball coming in. When it's in the air, it's either he gonna get it or I'm gonna get it. And I feel that they got my ball, so I need to get my own ball back and give my offense the chance to score. Oh, I score.
But for the first time in the game, the Noles hit the bench after 3 strikes. But they get it right back when Kenny Alexander gets the first interception of his career.
We've been a man-to-man coverage, and the back rolled to my right, so I had to keep contained on the back. And when I got to the line of scrimmage, I seen the ball being thrown, so I just jumped up and tried to hit it with one hand, and I seen the ball in the air, so I just rebounded and ran the ball down.
Maury's 28-yard field goal is no good, and the Noles take a 21-point lead into intermission.
Thoughts of never playing football again.
I had experienced one of the injury really that I feared most about football, because I said if I ever had a knee injury, I would quit, and I think if I had got it in high school, I know for a fact that I would have quit.
The type of injury he had, which he tore 3 ligaments, the knee is composed of 4. So basically what he had was 1 ligament left in his knee that was a undamaged ligament. So with today's technology, sure, you have to look at it. At the time, was it possible? But as he progressed, there was a chance, and you could see that with his determination, he would try to come back.
Footman would spend the next 2 years rehabilitating on a machine called the Cybex, a device that gauges the strength of muscles and joints. He eventually measured an astounding 430 foot-pounds, breaking the pro football record by 40 pounds.
Nobody gave him a chance to walk straight, and now here he is. He hasn't had a problem for a year and a half, and knock on wood, and I hope it stays that way. And I think that that's kind of rubbed off the admiration that the rest of the players have for him. And
this year's defensive captain has not disappointed. Against Duke, he recorded 2 sacks and motivated a Seminole defense that's been stifling opponents ever since.
I'm going to have about 6, 7 sacks at the end of the year, and look for a possibility of a career in the NFL, because things are looking good right now, and I think I have a pretty good shot at it.
Starting the second half at the 20, Charlie hits junior Matt Fryer for a 5-yard gain. Demon Deacon cornerback Ron Lambert applies the hit. Sean Jackson tries the left side for the Noles, but he's lassoed and brought down from behind. The dangerous Charlie Ward comes to the line, and the junior signal caller looks for the screen, but decides to tuck it and runs for 16 yards and a first down. The play action gives Charlie time. He hooks up with Fryer once again. Matt pulled in 6 catches for 95 yards against the Deacons.
I'm looking for a big play. I want a big play, a momentum changer. I really wanted to win this game. I didn't get a chance. Well, I didn't make my chance. Maybe I could have had a chance. Maybe I could have took one of them balls and turned it and broke a tackle. But I was excited to make, 6 catches. I was real happy with 6 catches. And, I got a couple little run after the couple balls. And you know, I was excited because I helped my team on third down. But, you know, I want to do more. I guess I'd never be satisfied.
The Tribe is in striking position, but a bad exchange to William Floyd puts the ball on the ground, and Scott Shellhammer recovers for the Deacons. Leach turns the corner on the Noles and heads upfield for a big gain of 18 yards. In Seminole territory, Moultrie makes the catch, but pays the price as Devin Bush and Marvin Jones bury the receiver at the 32. After a short gain, the D comes up big and stops the Deacons on 3rd and 1, with Marvin Jones shooting into the backfield to disrupt the play. On 4th down, the Deacons tried the middle, but senior John Davis is up to the task as he fires into the Wake Forest backfield.
Just had a simple smoke technique where I was just supposed to go in there and just take out any confusion, whether it was the tackle or the fullback or whatever the case may be. And I just so happened on this particular play to get low enough and, you know, and disrupt the fullback and take him out, and nearly made the play on the tailback as well. And with all this, the team speed and the team speed that we have, Pursuit got there within 0.1 second.
McMillan tests the middle and finds little room to roam. Under heavy pressure, Ward steps into the pocket and throws a strike to Fryer for a 32-yard pickup.
I thought I was gone. I really did. The guy caught me in the back of my jersey. I thought I was gone, man. I was going, here we go again. But, you know, hey, it happens. The guy caught me and before I could get my feet up underneath me and get my speed going. But need to jump on Vanover's shoulders, man, the way he was running the ball.
Deep in Wake Forest territory, Charlie rolls out, fakes the pass, and runs it upfield for 16 of his 27 rushing yards. Tiger tries the right, but Mike McCray grabs him by the tail and hauls him down after a gain of 3. On 3rd and 8, the Deacons bring everything they've got. Tiger squirts free, but fumbles on the 3. Fryer has a shot, but can't come up with it, and Wake Forest recovers for the touchback. Jim Kemp, son of Senator Jack Kemp, hands off to Leach, who is pummeled by John Davis and Marvin Darth Vader Jones. The Demon Deacons pin the Noles deep. Until now, the tough Wake Forest defense has held Sean Jackson to just 5 yards on 9 carries. Until now.
Jackson tries to get outside. Jackson breaks through to the 20. Jackson to the 30. Jackson to the 40. Jackson to the 50. Jackson waits for the block. Puts it back to the right. To the 35. To the 30. To the 20. Jackson, skip arm. He's to the 10. To the 5. He scores a Florida State touchdown.
Well, I was real tired at the end, you know, but I was very determined to get in, you know, because I kind of had flashbacks when we played Georgia Southern my freshman year, and I got caught at the 1-yard line, and the fellas were real hard on me about that, so I couldn't let that happen again.
Wake Forest gets the ball on their own 27, and after 3 chances, they grab some pine. Michael Green punts away to Corey Sawyer.
Backpedaling is Sawyer. He'll try to return this one. Comes to the near side. Gets the wall. Here comes Sawyer. Sawyer gets another block to the 50. Sawyer down the sideline. He's tripped up at the 35-yard line.
Sophomore Derek Brooks gets his first sack as a Seminole. Michael Green, last year's most accurate kicker in the ACC, misses a 41-yarder, and the Seminoles move to 4-0.
And first of all, a big shove. Then, coming up, more sumo moves of the inflatable variety. It's a sumo body slam. Yes, I think they're turning Japanese. I really think so. A blow-up sumo kind of pod, and perhaps the newest bar craze.
Their defensive team. You've got to execute. You've got to execute. You're not going to get anything cheap. You're not going to get anything quick. You know, you're going to have to drive and maintain drives to get in their end zone. And, gee, that's very difficult. You just hope that they struggle against us, because we have a good defensive line, and you know, they got great skill and we got great skill, but you can have all the skill in the world if that line can't protect your quarterback or create some holes, and the skill can't operate. So we got a young offensive line. They've got a young offensive line. They got a veteran defensive line. We got a veteran defense. Don't be surprised if that game isn't about like the Cotton Bowl, about 10-2 in somebody's favor. They might get ahead of us. There won't be any intimidation going on, though. I can bet you that, because our kids are not going to get intimidated. Now, can they make enough noise in that stadium to make you miss a few assignments? Yeah, they can do that. We can make enough here to make them miss some, too, you know, but that's the disadvantage of playing away from home. But I don't think there'll be any intimidation going on. I don't think they can be intimidated, and I'd hate to think we could.
Seminole Uprising congratulates the Players of the Week. On offense, Tamark Vanover was a one-man show in the first quarter. With less than 3 minutes gone by in the game, Vanover caught an 18-yard pass from Charlie Ward for a touchdown. Moments later, the freshman from Tallahassee electrified the crowd with the biggest play of the game. Vanover returned a 96-yard kickoff for a touchdown, giving the Noles their first touchdown kickoff return in 6.5 years. On defense, Cory Fuller continues to delight Seminole fans and destroy Seminole opponents. The sophomore from Key West picked off his 4th pass of the season. But his big contribution was his punt return skills. Cory ran back 4 punts for 85 yards, one of which was a 36-yarder to set up a Florida State touchdown. Once again,
no two teams in the country have been more successful than these interstate rivals, consistently ranked among the top 4 in the country. Last year's clash between the two teams decided the 1991 national championship as Miami claimed a 17-16 victory in front of the largest TV audience in college football. This week's drop in the polls by Miami was no shock.
Before last year's 1-point loss to Miami, FSU's 16 straight wins was the longest streak in the country. This year, Miami has a 21-game win streak, and the Hurricanes haven't lost a game in the Orange Bowl since 1985. It will be a clash between the two.
Rains, and it's excellent, and nobody's had any footing problems. Everybody seems to be as fast as ever, and when you say that about these two teams, you're talking a lot of speed.
Great, hang in there. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes. I know you got to look at Marvin Jones, the vicious linebacker for Florida State. You know, Jones really a quarterback's worst nightmare. Both quarterbacks already have plenty to worry about. Very quick defenses, very inexperienced offensive lines. Charlie Ward and Gino Torretta are going to be challenged to really hold things together out there. Lee, these are similar situations, but very different quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think Charlie Ward is the best all-around athlete on the field, no matter what. You look at Charlie Ward, you see an athlete who can play any position. When you look at the one-back offense, you see 4 receivers and 1 running back. But when you add Charlie Ward to it, it gives a tremendous advantage to Florida State because it gives them 4 receivers and 2 running backs compared to Miami's 4 receivers and 1 running back. I think it's a tremendous advantage for Florida State.
Well, while Gino Torretta can't run, he still has the ability to avoid the pass rush by using a 3- and 5-step drop. And with his wide receivers, the best in the country, a short pass of 10 to 15 yards could easily turn into a 30 to 40-yard play because of the speed with guys like Kevin Williams there. Gino Torretta today has not got to worry about that offensive line. He's got to read coverage and find his wide receivers and have enough confidence that in a 3- to 5-step drop, they're not going to be able to get to him.
I think he has been worried about it. He seems kind of out of sync and definitely not sharp so far this season. About Charlie Wardley, I think he's got to avoid a 4th straight slow start, or he's just going to get swallowed up by the Canes defense and the crowd down there.
You're absolutely right. And now with his 3-game experience, you got to remember Charlie Ward has really improved. In fact, he's only had 1 pass interception, Chris, in the last 74 attempts. That's tremendous.
If he keeps that up, they are just about unstoppable on offense. You know, Florida State is really trying to exercise some old demons today, and Miami is looking to build on its mystique. The Orange Bowl ghosts helped lengthen the home streak to 47 last week when Arizona's field goal sailed wide right barely, gave FSU fans a painful flashback. But in the face of this week's adversity, the Canes' mystique may be on the wane. They know that today they must dig deeper than ever.
They never had defeat in their eyes. They just, you know, they've always, you know, we're going to win. And they have that attitude, and they play with that attitude.
For a decade, Miami's excellence and arrogance have been college football's constants. But suddenly, human nature and forces of nature have created cracks in their psychological armor.
A lot of teams don't respect us like they used to. I mean, now, you know, teams start not, they coming at us now. You know, they like, man, Hurricanes ain't the same like they used to be.
This is the visitors' locker room at the Orange Bowl. For years, it's been like the Christians' green room at the ancient Roman Colosseum. Players say you can feel the pregame bedlam vibrating down through the ceiling. Except a funny thing happened last Saturday. Arizona came in, trashed the locker room, showed no signs of intimidation on the field, and no respect for Miami's home winning streak.
As the sun set and the wind swirled and the Orange Bowl held its breath, the Wildcats came within a whisker of shattering Miami's Orange Bowl mystique.
It is an Arizona no good. No good.
Afterwards, George Malulu scoffed, quote, "Miami thinks they have an S on their chests." Sorry, pal. This week, the Canes are searching their souls and looking for leadership.
I says, you know, Gino, tell me what's going on out on the field. You know, what are the kids talking about? And he said, well, Coach, they're really not saying anything, you know. And I said, well, that's got to change.
I don't think there was a lot of fire out there. I think that a lot of guys were just going through the motion.
For the first time in a long time, there is complacency here, a natural human reaction to the devastation of Hurricane Andrew. Their city was ripped apart. Football seemed insignificant, a new perspective, healthy and humbling, but not compatible with the focus, work ethic, and swagger that made Miami a dynasty.
A lot of guys kind of lost their edge that we had going into the season, I mean, before the hurricane. I mean, because we worked really hard before the hurricane, and then all of a sudden the hurricane came and blew things and made us think in a different way that, hey, we're just lucky to be here.
Miami veterans believe Arizona's slap in the face will reawaken the trademark aggressiveness and flamboyance.
It's going to be a lot of attitude this week. I mean, everybody's going to show out. I mean, a lot of guys are going to go back to their old selves, being downright nasty in practice, fighting against each other.
The thing I think we got caught up in trying to please everybody instead of pleasing ourselves. You know, instead of trying to, people wanted to change us, try to make us the Notre Dame, quote-unquote, good boy image. But we can't do that. We got to be ourselves.
Was the wake-up call in time? Can Miami play at the pinnacle a week after the Arizona abomination? The Seminoles don't doubt it.
I've said they'll rally over the crack in the Liberty Bell.
I hope they don't take it out on us. And I just kind of feel sorry for Florida State.
That Miami mystique stuff, and they got beat a lot of times from the eyebrows up before they even hit the field. This year, you notice Bobby Bowden, there's more confidence in himself, more confidence, more relaxed. I think that's going to really help them in the ball game today against the Canes.
I agree. They're not treating this like the game of the century like they did last year. A lot more in this game coming up. You know, one Seminole alumnus who didn't exactly show much loyalty this week is Terrell Buckley. The Packer rookie took some pot shots at his former head coach. Buckley took offense to a comment Bobby Bowden made comparing him to current Nole Corey Sawyer, and then he unloaded, saying 70% of last year's team didn't like Bowden and thought he was aloof. He then continued, quote, "We have the talent to win the national championship with a different coach. Things would have come out different." Asked about today's game, Buckley said he hopes Bowden doesn't, quote, "mess it up with his stupid play calling." A memo to Terrell, with a different coach, you don't get coached close to even playing for a championship. All right, now in the opposite corner of the country today,
national title, while FSU finished second.
We didn't realize that one at the time, but that was for the national championship. We didn't know it, you know, because that was about the 5th, 6th game of the season. We didn't realize it, but that was the game. That was for the national championship. They won it and we lost it right there. 87, it was pretty rough because we had so many chances. It was a game we had won and lost. They say you don't win games, you lose them. That's a great example of a team losing a game.
Hey, I'm Deion Sanders, should know my name. But if you don't, then I'm not to blame. I got world-class speed with moves to spare. You throw it my way, you know I'll be there. You see, I played my best when the game's on the line. I guess that's why they call me prime time. Some call me cocky. And
Will any Seminole fan forget the debacle of 1988? I don't think so. Florida State entered as the top-ranked team in the country for the first time ever. But they played like they were the 100th ranked team. Sammy Smith, who rushed for close to 200 yards the year before, was held to just 6 yards on 10 carries. And as a team, Florida State would pick up just 42 on the day. Florida State would go on to lose 31-0 in front of a national television primetime audience. And yes, that would be the last time we would ever hear of that infamous Seminole rap.
I think the biggest thing, we were overconfident, and we never had a #1 ranking. I guess we didn't know how to handle it.
It's a blinding thing. Overconfidence is just there's a fine line between confidence and overconfidence. You would love confidence, but overconfidence just a little bit line, and you can't read it. Usually when you read it, it's too late. They're kicking off. You know.
The crowd was into it. The players were into it. It almost got into a situation where the teams almost got into it. The horse came out, we threw the spear down in the ground, and it just shook Doak Campbell. I mean, we turned it loose right after that.
And it didn't take long to prove FSU was for real in 1989, scoring a huge 24-10 victory over the top-ranked Hurricanes. This game belonged to the crowd and to the Florida State defense, led by Kirk Carruthers, who made 16 tackles, intercepted 2 passes, and recovered a fumble. But the Noles could not overcome 2 early losses in the season as they finished 3rd, while the Hurricanes went on to finish 11-1, becoming national champions for the 3rd time during the 80s. Be aggressive with his feet, gave him those quick feet. In 1990, FSU traveled down to the Orange Bowl, where they had a 12-10 series advantage. Miami ditched their passing game and went to the run to outplay Florida State 31-22. The Canes also outrushed FSU 334-57, as Stephen McGuire gained 176 yards and Leonard Conley added another 144. FSU went on to finish the year 10-2, ranked 4th. How many games are the Seminoles going to take a big lead into the 4th quarter and come away with a loss to Miami? Well, you can chalk up another one. November 16, 1991, a record 63,442 fans saw another thriller between the top 2 teams in the country. Florida State, #1 for 12 weeks. Followed closely by the 2nd-ranked Hurricanes. FSU built a 16-7 lead behind the 1-yard plunge from Paul Moore and 3 Jerry Thomas field goals.
Now it's a 31-yard drive.
But with 9 minutes to go in the game, Miami began their run. Carlos Huerta hit from 45 yards out, making the score 16-10.
Plenty of leg, and he got it.
After Florida State couldn't move the ball, Gino Torretta went to work, hitting Coleman Bell for 21.
That's a good catch.
Then Stephen McGuire picked up 17.
Runs right over a man.
On 4th and 6 from the FSU 12, Torretta hit Horace Copeland. 1st and goal from the 3.
Is good for a first down.
From there, it was Larry Jones, and Miami had a 1-point lead.
He's got a touchdown. Looking at 3rd down and 9.
It wasn't over, however, as Casey Weldon then marched the team down to the 17. But confusion set in, and FSU had to bring in Jerry Thomas for a 34-yard field goal attempt. And the rest, as they say, is wide right.
I would almost say not a day goes by, but definitely not a week goes by that I don't think about it. Sitting there and just watching films, you know, up in Philadelphia, and just think about what we had and what we could have accomplished by winning that game. It's tough. I don't know if I'll ever forget that game.
Well, it don't make you very happy, you know. I can't think of anything fun about thinking about it or happy about it, you know. But I don't let it frustrate me because that's the nature of the game. That's the nature of the beast.
So now, in their 36th meeting, will yet another Florida State-Miami game be decided in the final minutes? I'm Dave Neal for 27 Sports.
National championships for me ever since I've been here. And, you know, you just have this thing for Miami. I know I do, and it's just like, you know, I just want to score until you can't score anymore.
Miami's offense hasn't been effective. Their running game hasn't been there. And the offensive line, therefore, they're just not scoring any points to date.
And you got to have an offensive line, as you know, to block and make those points. If you're Miami, keep your eyes on number 68, Carlos Etheridge. Now, he's a former tight end 3 weeks ago. His first offensive line start was against Florida A&M 2 weeks ago. he'll be blocking on Dan Footman, who's 280 pounds. And if he gets on the left side, he's the blind side of Gino Torretta. Watch out, Torretta's left shoulder could knock him out of the game.
Well, Miami is really running like Ross Perot, on again, off again. As for Florida State, at least they won't have to block Rusty Medeiros today.
Well, Rusty Medeiros, they're going to miss him. He's their best pass rusher, that's one thing. But emotionally, in that huddle, when it's 3rd and short, 4th and goal, he's the guy that tells them, fellas, let's get it going. We got to get this play done. And you cannot replace that with a second-teamer.
They were really saddened by that injury this week. You know, Mark Caesar pointed out they're used to coping. The deaths of Shane Curry and Jerome Brown in the offseason, 2 ex-Canes, part of that extended family we talked about. This is just another emotional test. They've already been through a lot. Now, Lee, it's not Rusty's knee, but Steve McGuire's knee that also has Miami concerned.
No question. He hasn't been the McGuire of old. He's a tough football player and a great runner, and they need him. Last week, 2 weeks ago against Florida A&M, he was very tentative. Last week, he ran the ball twice for -1 yard. He's had that knee operation. He's having problems. But look at what he can do when he went against Florida State. The last 2 years, when he's well, he's averaged 159 yards a carry. Craig, I know you had a knee injury. I know it hurts. Do you think McGuire can come back?
No way he can do it in one game. He can come back from that injury, but right now, he's still dragging that leg through the line. I remember the first time I came back, man, you just, the leg kind of follows you through the hole. And he shared with us this week, he still has not had that first hit on his knee. They need him in a big kind of way today, but it just won't happen.
Hurricanes have said that he looks better in practice this week, but again, still not 100%, and practice is not a game. And Florida State's defense is not just another game also. All right, we're going to check back in with Steve Cyphers, our guy on the scene at the Orange Bowl, for the latest. Steve?
Chris, one thing you know this game will feature today is outstanding linebacker play for both clubs. Miami has a great trio with Darren Smith, Jesse Armstead, and Michael Barrow. But many say the best linebacker on the field today might be Marvin Jones. He's the junior from Florida State whose one real passion in life is tackling.
I really don't see people when I tackle. I see through them. So, you know, it's like, you know, I don't see nothing. I think that's why they made football fields a drag, because you can go out and bury people. You know, just dig up a spot and bury them right there.
Marvin Jones is 6'2", 235 pounds, runs a 4.6 40, and is the most feared linebacker in college football.
Marvin Jones is the best linebacker I've ever seen playing college football. He's all over the place. He gets better every year. I remember when he was a freshman, he was 215 pounds and ran fast. Now he's 240 pounds and runs faster.
He can run, he'll hit, he'll dive, he'll jump, he'll do anything he can do to get to the ball carrier.
I feel like I can make every tackle from sideline to sideline. You know, if a guy run up in the press box, you know, I think I can get him. Wherever Marvin goes, I go the opposite. I wish I could wear a jersey with 106 on it, because I feel I'm a combination of Lawrence Taylor and Mike Singletary.
He plays by 3 rules. 1, go full speed, always. 2, play every play as if it's your last. And 3,
just go out with the intent to punish. If you go out with the intent to punish, those first 2 will come with that.
Wally Burnham is Florida State's linebacker coach. He works from the press box on Saturdays. Burnham recently compiled a list of his favorite Jones tackles. So, leading the hit parade at number 5, it's that play against Clemson.
That was just instant anger.
At number 4, Florida a year ago.
I just ran straight over him. I mean, that was just get there.
Moving to number 3, it's Michigan, 1st and goal.
I told him not to do it.
At number 2, BYU.
I think I was one that scored 2 touchdowns on us. I just wanted to show them, you know, that, hey, you know, I'm getting tired of it.
And the number 1 favorite on the hit parade? Well, sorry to disappoint you, but it never made the highlights because it happened at practice during Jones' freshman year. In just his second day of wearing Seminole pads, during a goal line scrimmage, he leaped over the line to bury the ball carrier. Back then, he was trying to make the team, and now he's an All-American. But nothing's changed.
He wants to do goal line the whole time. That's all he talks about. Let's just go to goal line. Let's go do goal line practice. And always wants to hit.
He never turns the motor off. His motor is always going. Don't put him in there unless you want him to go full speed.
In the mind of Marvin Jones, there is no difference between a practice and a game. There is only football and the pursuit of the perfect hit.
I haven't even come close to the perfect hit. You know, because, you know, that trauma helicopter hadn't landed in the middle of the field yet.
there you see Marvin Jones working on his pregame drills, getting ready for Miami. He'll have plenty of fans in the stands because Marvin is a native of Miami, played at Northwestern High, so there'll be a lot of people cheering him on. In fact, his brother, Fred, played linebacker at Florida State in the mid-'80s. He's a policeman here in Miami, so I guess you can say enforcement runs in the family.
I'm not sure who's meaner, Fred or Marvin. Steve, have you had a chance to watch the pregame warm-up of the kickers? That's a concern for both teams. The winds down there can be tricky. How do they look?
Well, the winds are a little bit tricky, Chris, as you mentioned. They can blow from one way to the next in a matter of seconds. Dame Pruitt seemed to have more trouble for Miami in the pregame kicking than did Dan Mowry of Florida State. Mowry booted a couple of 46-yarders. Pruitt seemed to be a little bit to the left, especially kicking from the middle of the field or on the left hash.
Yeah, he missed a couple of field goals against Arizona last week. Thanks, Steve. Enjoy the ball game. Stay safe down there. It'd be a great atmosphere down there on the sidelines, fellas. Lee, how do you see it?
Okay, first of all, Miami's not at full strength. That's a given. Florida State's more explosive, more relaxed this year. I like Florida State by 2 touchdowns.
Now, is that 12 or 14?
That's 12.
Okay, now I'm not picking against Florida State. Marvin Jones will send the trauma helicopter to my house, so I'm going Florida State as well. It'll be a close ball game. I don't see it being 2 touchdowns because Charlie Ward will make some mistakes because of the Orange Bowl crowd. Turnovers will lead to points for Miami. I like Florida State in a close one.
I agree with you. I think the Seminoles win a close ball game, but it's kept close because Ward can't totally avoid mistakes. The bandwagon is big. Is there room for another?